Hello, so welcome back to this another video where we are covering the 11th topic of ESI, that is International Economic Institutions. And so far we have covered 10 topics of ESI. And yeah, with that, let's start. Bretton Woods Conference. In July 1944, delegates from the USA, UK, and 42 other nations assembled at Bretton Woods, USA. The objective of this meeting was to design a new international monetary framework and create mechanisms to maintain global monetary and financial stability after the Second World War. As an outcome of the conference, two major global institutions were created, the IMF and the World Bank, whose arm was the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. IBRD stands for International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. These two bodies are jointly referred to as Bretton Woods Twins, and both have their headquarters in Washington, D.C. International Monetary Fund IMF. IMF is an independent body operating under the United Nations framework. It came into existence in 1945 with an initial membership of 30 countries. Current membership 191 countries. Headquarter is at Washington, D.C. Head is Managing Director. Initial financial resources of $8.8 billion. Then functions of IMF: surveillance, financial assistance, and technical support to ensure the stability of the global monetary and financial system. Surveillance: the IMF conducts continuous monitoring of the economic and financial situations of its member nations and engages in regular policy discussions with them. These discussions help evaluate a country's economic health. IMF publishes its assessment twice a year through World Economic Outlook and Global Financial Stability Report. Financial assistance: IMF provide loans to member countries experiencing balance of payment difficulties. Loans are offered under an agreement which requires the borrowing nation to implement specific policy measure aimed at resolving balance of payment crisis. Most IMF lending is funded through member quota contribution, meaning the institution's lending capacity is directly tied to the total quota resources. Technical assistance: the IMF supports countries in strengthening their ability to strengthen and execute sound economic policies in four key areas: monetary and financial sector policies, fiscal policies, statistical systems, economic and financial legal framework. IMF quotas: upon joining the IMF, each country receives an initial quota based on its relative standing in the global economy. The quota determines the maximum amount a member contributes to the IMF. Quotas are expressed in special drawing rights (SDRs). A review of quotas is conducted at least once every 5 years. The current quota formula uses a weighted combination of GDP 50%, openness 30%, economic variability 15%, and international reserves as 5%. Role of quotas: subscriptions determines the financial commitment a member must provide to IMF. Voting power: a member's quota is a major factor in its voting strength. Access to financing: amount of country can borrow from IMF depend upon its quota. Highest quota is of USA 17%, lowest is of Tuvalu 0.001%. India's quota is around 2.75. Special drawing rights (SDRs). IMF lends to members in an artificial reserve assets called SDRs. SDRs were created. SDR cannot be traded into the market. Their value fluctuates continuously due to the changes in global exchange rates. SDR value is determined using a basket of 5 major currencies: US dollar, euro, Chinese renminbi, Japanese yen, and pound sterling. Governance structures: Board of Governors, the highest decision-making authority of the IMF. Each member country appoints one governor and one alternate governor. For India, Finance Minister as governor and RBI governor as alternate governor. Key functions: approving quotas, SDR allocations, admitting new members, appointing executive directors. Board of Directors is supported by two advisory committees, IMFC and Joint Development Committee. Executive Board comprises of 24 executive directors elected or appointed by by member countries. The Managing Director serves as the chairperson. Tenure of the MD is 5 years. Types of IMF financing. Now this is important. Concessional lending offered to low income countries at zero interest, mainly for balance of payment issues, includes extended credit facility, standby credit facility, rapid credit facility, extended credit facility, medium to long term support for persistent balance of payment, short term assistance, and RCF quick aid for urgent balance of payment. Okay. Non-concessional lendings available to all member nations at market-based interest rate with applicable surcharges include standby arrangement, extended fund facility, rapid financing instrument, flexible credit line, precautionary and liquidity line, short-term anticipated BOP crisis, long-term crisis emergency assistance for countries with strong fundamentals and policy performance, and for nations with sound fundamentals but moderate vulnerabilities. Then we have World Bank. World Bank generally refers to two main institutions, that is IBRD and IDA, International Development Association. However, the broader World Bank group includes 5 organizations: IBRD, IDA, International Finance Corporation, Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes. Important facts about the World Bank. A country must be a member of IMF in order to join World Bank. India is member of all listed institutions except ICSID, investment disputes. The institution is headed by the president with a 5-year term. Now let's look at the 5 arms of the World Bank group. International Bank for Reconstruction, for World War, post-World War assistance. India is voting. Okay. International Development Association, with India as one of its founding members, also known as soft loan arm of the World Bank, provides long-term interest-free loans to the poorest nations. Okay. International Finance Corporation, mandated to promote private sector development in emerging economies by providing loans and financial supports to private enterprises. IFC issue rupee bonds and masala bonds to mobilize. Okay. Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, MIGA, encourage foreign direct investment by offering insurance and guarantees to private foreign investors. Provide credit enhancement guarantees for cross-border private lenders and investors. Okay, so we were covering International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes, ICSID, established in 1966. Members are 158, acts as a platform for resolving investment-related disputes between member nations. Participation in this arbitration is voluntary, but once parties agree to arbitration, they cannot unilaterally withdraw. That's why India is not part of it. Board of Executive Directors of the World Bank. The World Bank has 4 boards of executive directors, one each for IBRD, IDA, IFC and MIGA. These boards typically include the same executive directors serving across all 4 entities. They oversee the general operations of World Bank and execute all powers delegated by Board of Governors. The board consists of 24 executive directors, the president who serves as the chairperson. Then we have World Trade Organization. In World Trade Organization came into existence in 1995, replacing the earlier framework known as General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. Before understanding the WTO, let's briefly look at GATT. Signed in 1947, aimed to create a free and fair system of international trade among member nations. Initially, 23 countries signed the agreement. The headquarters of GATT were located in Switzerland, Geneva. A total of 8 rounds were held. Okay. Important factors about WTO. Headquarters is at Geneva. Membership 166. European Union is also counted as a member. WTO is not a part of United Nations system. Publishes World Trade Report annually. Organizational structure. Ministerial conference convenes once every 2 years and is highest authority within WTO. Attended by the commerce and trade ministers of all countries. Then it has General Council, meets annually in Geneva. Attended by ambassadors of member nations, implements decisions on behalf of ministerial conference. Councils for trade. These include three separate councils for trade in goods, trade in services, and intellectual property rights. Principles of WTO. Most favored nation. Treating all trade partners equally. Are legally required to grant MFN treatment to one another. This principle ensures equal treatment and prevents discrimination among trading partners. If a country grants a tariff, concession, or any other benefit to one member, it must extend the same to all the members. Exceptions rules. Regional economic blocks, special treatment for developing countries, and national security related exemptions. National treatment ensures equal treatment. Once imported product enters a country's market, it must be treated same as the domestically. Yes, I know this. Then major WTO agreements negotiated during Uruguay round and ratified in 1994 at Marrakech, implemented from 1995, focuses on reducing trade distorting subsidies. Pillars of the agreement. Domestic support. Subsidies that are provided to the farmers are under this pillar. Subsidies fall into three categories: green box, blue box, and amber box. We have seen this already. And green box is something that is non-trade distorting. Then blue box is something direct taxes which are indirect distortion, and amber box is directly trade distorting subsidies. Market access. This head includes improving access to markets by removing trade barriers. It implies that all non-tariff barriers to be abolished and converted to tariffs. Non-tariff barriers include variable levies, minimum import prices, etc. Export subsidy refers to subsidies that make exports artificially cheaper. Such practices may lead to dumping, harming farmers in importing countries. Then we have non-agricultural market access. NAMA, originated in Doha Ministerial Declaration, aims to lower tariffs on products outside the purview of IOA. Covers items like manufactured goods, industrial products, etc. General Agreement on Trade in Services governs rules for trade in services among member nations, seeks to promote the liberalization of service trade, defines 4 models of service delivery: cross-border supply, commercial presence, movement of persons, and consumption abroad. Okay. Then Agreement on Trade Related Aspects of Intellectual Property Right, TRIPS, signed by all WTO members, making it the world's most comprehensive IP agreement. Sets copyright standard, GI tag, and industrial designs. These standards guide how products should be recognized, protected, and traded internationally. And I guess that was the end of this topic of international economic institutions, which are mainly covered in this video. So yeah, thank you and stay tuned for the next topic. Bye.